Hello, everybody. Roger says, hey. I don't know if you can hear Scarlett or not, but she's panting like crazy underneath my desk right now. It's really hot outside. It's like well, it's not over 100 degrees, but the heat index is like 105 or 106 right now. It is oppressively hot outside. Um, but anyway, hopefully she will be nice and calm throughout this video. We're back with part 2 of the Seminal tragedy today, so let's get with it. Now, I really enjoyed episode 1 yesterday. This channel has like a really good way of presenting history. If you hear any noises, don't hear that, Scarlett. They have a really good way of simplifying history and presenting it in a nice, fun way. So I think this is going to be a good little series. These videos aren't too long either. But before we jump into part 2, I did want to kind of do a little retro thing that I've gotten away from before because I've had a couple of requests to incorporate it again in my videos, and that is reading some of your comments from previous parts when we do like video series like this. And so the first comment is from Melkor. He says, please start reading our comments again at the start of the videos. I like that. One of the reasons I stopped doing it was I felt like it was a bit too much of an interruption. You know, I think a lot of people just kind of want to go ahead and get into the video. So I thought, well, maybe I could just reply to your comments, you know, in the comment section and just skip that. But some of you guys really enjoy me reading some of the comments. So if you are in agreement with that, let me know down in the comments of this video if you like me doing that or not. Just give me a little bit of feedback on that, because, you know, sometimes I do stuff and I never know if it's like received very well from you guys, so let me know. But we're gonna do that in this video. Next comment is by Mega Fox. He says, or she, I don't know, Otto von Bismarck is one of the most important and smartest persons in history. He needs his own reaction at some point. Otto von Bismarck is coming. I've had a lot of people ask me for months now to do Otto von Bismarck, and I just kind of keep forgetting it. I've literally got probably, I don't know, at this point, 200-300 videos that have been requested for me to do, which is like, that's why I've upped the frequency of these videos a little bit, because I feel like I'm falling behind with all of the requests, even the ones that have been requested by a lot of different people over the past few months. So I've got to kind of like up my game a little bit and get some more videos done, and cause there's just too much out there to learn, you know. So Otto von Bismarck is coming. I don't know if I'll be able to do him before this weekend when we start the World War I Great Channel series. So I don't know, that's a lot to get through in just like 3 days. So maybe I can do him in the coming couple of weeks. So we'll try to fit him in. Next comment is from Eduardo Serio. Italy is a new country too. The people living there before had cultural, historical, linguistic affinity, etc., but great political rivalry. So as sovereign country, Italy is a new thing. The case of Germany is more or less the same. Yeah, if you guys watched my video to the end yesterday on this subject, I was like really baffled at how young of a country Germany was. Like, they're actually younger than the US. I was under the impression that like the United States is one of the youngest countries in the world, but I didn't think it was older than like Germany and Italy. So this information about Italy is new for me too. I didn't realize that Germany and Italy were not founded as countries until like the 1800s, but I do understand that the cultures and like the regions were there way before that. So new information. And the last comment I wanted to bring up is from L. Oh shoot, I feel like you've told me how to say your name previously and I forgot it. Kyo, sorry if that's not right. You can let me know in the comments again if that's if that's right or wrong, you let me know how to say it. But he says a good film documentary to watch on a Patreon would be They Shall Not Grow Old. Is real footage from World War One that's been turned into color. Is really good. I've heard of this a lot actually, but I didn't know what it was exactly. I knew it was a film, but I wasn't aware that it was about World War One footage that had been turned into color, which is really really cool. I have seen World War Two in color before, so that is really cool. Like it brings it makes it way more realistic, you know. But to see World War One in color would be also like even better, I think, in some ways, because it's so much older, you know. So yeah, that would be a good one from a Patreon. I am keeping a running list of movies to watch on Patreon, and I will be posting like really abbreviated reactions on YouTube of them so that people at least know that I'm doing it. But the full reaction will be on Patreon so that I can not get in trouble with copyright here on YouTube. But anyway, let's go ahead and let's get into part two. Don't really have much else to say at this point, so let's continue on with part two. Let's see if the Archduke gets assassinated in this part. It's either gonna be this one or part three, I think. So maybe. I don't know. Let's just watch. Their little intro music.
Alright, the stage is set. Now let's put the players in their places. The curtain opens on the back of a rundown cafe in Belgrade. A young man comes in carrying a package and takes a seat at a table with a handful of other young men huddled around. They still to a hush as he opens the package. Inside is a single piece of paper, a newspaper clipping. The one who brought the package bends over to stare at the page. One of the other young men slides a candle across the table so he can better see. Before him, circled in red, is a headline, and it reads, Archduke Franz Ferdinand to visit Sarajevo. Now we skip ahead a few weeks. We're outside a palace. A resplendently dressed man and woman are getting in an open-top car, 100 years ago this year. He's dressed in bright, blazing blue. His chest is full of medals. On his head, a grand horsehair cap. She is wearing a flowing white dress and laughing. He helps her into the car. This is Franz Ferdinand, the Archduke of Austria, next in line for succession to the throne, accompanied by his wife Sophie. They've come to Sarajevo to watch military maneuvers, but really that's an excuse. It's their anniversary. They've come to get away from the stifling courts of Austria, where the Archduke's marriage to Sophie will never be accepted due to her low birth. She was, after all,
Where is Sarajevo? When I think of that, I think of like Eastern Europe, but I'm not sure where that is. Like, kind of associated with Russia, sort of, in a way, is what comes to mind. I'm not really sure where it is. I'm going to back it up just a little bit, because...
But really, that's an excuse. It's their anniversary. They've come to get away from the stifling courts of Austria, where the Archduke's marriage to Sophie will never be accepted due to her low birth. She was, after all, only a countess. But things have been really tense in this part of the empire. The Serbian agitators have been acting with increased boldness to demand a Serbia free and independent from Austrian rule. And this day, of all days, falls on the anniversary of one of the greatest battles in Serbian history, the Battle of Kosovo. It's one of the great rallying points of the Serbian people, a point of national pride. To Serbian nationalists, this is one...
Why did I say Serbia? It's Serbia, and I'm stupid. Like, I know that. I don't know. I feel like I should know this because I've studied, like, European geography before. I should know if Serbia is a country still, or... It is. I was thinking that it was like one of those historical countries that doesn't exist anymore for some reason, but yeah, I feel really stupid right now. I should have known that. It's right above North Macedonia, right next to Bosnia and Herzegovina, Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary. Okay. So Serbia is a couple countries over from Austria, but I don't know, back in this day, the borders for Austria were probably different, so they may have been, like, right next to each other. Alright, sorry about that. I just had to, like... I answered my own question.
Falls on the anniversary of one of the greatest battles in Serbian history, the Battle of Kosovo. It's one of the great rallying points of the Serbian people, a point of national pride. To Serbian nationalists, this is one of their proudest days. And to them, for the Archduke of Austria, the symbol of their oppression, the embodiment of foreign rule, to come here on that day was the greatest insult. Now, perhaps the Archduke had chosen that day to show solidarity, to ease tensions, to make the people of Serbia understand that he cared about their traditions. Maybe he simply didn't know that the day had any special importance, and he was just there to get away. But whatever the reason, he was ill-informed. For on any other day, the events that are about to play out may not have happened. On any other day, this might have turned out simply to be your average parade, an event which wouldn't even go down as a historical footnote in a long and prosperous rule. But something had to happen on this day. It was too symbolic, too important, too grand of a story. And so the first domino is placed in the mad and improbable events of this 28th day of June 1914. So here now, in the sleek black car, the royal couple begins to process down the streets of Sarajevo, flanked by 5 other cars filled with officials and guards. It's a parade. The streets are lined with...
Wait, Sarajevo... Is that a city in Serbia? What? I'm really confused. Sorry, guys. Sarajevo... How do you spell? Sarajevo... Okay. Oh, it's in Bosnia and Herzegovina? So maybe back in the day, though, it was Serbia? Europe, your geography is really confusing.
With onlookers, the 5 other cars filled with officials and guards. It's a parade. The streets are lined with onlookers. The route has been published. The world knows exactly where the Archduke is going to be. And those young men from that cafe in Belgrade are there in that crowd.
Wait a second.
The streets are lined with onlookers by 5 other cars filled with officials and guards. It's a parade. The streets are lined with onlookers. The route has been published. The world knows exactly where the Archduke is going to be. And those young men from that cafe in Belgrade are there in that crowd. They are nationalists. They're patriots. They're assassins and terrorists. They call themselves Young Serbia, and are part of the much more ominously named Black Hand. And they are angry. Angry in the way that only young men can be. And when I say young, I mean that barely any of them had reached the age of 20. They had in them an anger born of ideals, or they had ideals to rationalize their anger. A boldness born of a cause, or a cause to justify the brash kind of risk-taking that truly borders madness. But however you view them, here they were, hidden in the crowd, intent on killing the Archduke. One by one, the Archduke's car passes his would-be assassins. Nothing happens. No attempt on his life. 2 of his assassins ended up succumbing to fear and couldn't go through with the deed. One felt pity for his wife sitting in the car and just couldn't bring himself to pull the trigger. Another one had an equipment malfunction. And so, one by one, Ferdinand passed them, none the wiser, smiling and waving to the crowd. Smiling and waving in an open-top car so the world could better see. But at last, on the Kamerja Bridge, an assassin finally steps forward and throws a bomb at the Archduke's car. Seconds before it lands, Ferdinand sees it and dives behind the door of the car as the bomb passes over him and bounces into the street behind. An explosion rips through the ground, mangling the car following them and leaving 20 people wounded and bleeding on the street. The assassin leaps over the side of the bridge to make his escape, but in the type of amateurish planning that would be comical if the circumstances weren't so grave, he fails to realize that the river below is only 4 inches deep, and he hurts his leg in the fall. In one last act of comic tragic bravado, the assassin swallows the cyanide pill he's been carrying, a final you'll-never-take-me-alive gesture, but alas, these young high school assassins had bought their suicide pills on the cheap, and this one was way past its shelf life. So the young man just sits quietly vomiting into the river while the police stroll down to take him very much alive. The motorcade races back the way it came, sirens screaming, and the city begins to lock down. Another of the young men, a 19-year-old named Gavrilo Princip, watches the cars go by, heart sinking. So it's done, he thinks to himself. It's off. The Archduke is alive. The assassination's failed. He is pretty bummed out. His hopes to be immortalized in the halls of Serbian heroes are dashed. All his dreams of glory just shattered. Overall, it's been a pretty lousy day. So he goes off to pout, thinking maybe a snack will make me feel better. This one young man's comfort snack may seem like a small thing, but it's on the small things that history often turns. Back at City Hall, the Archduke and the mayor are having words. The mayor proposes that the Archduke and Duchess should continue on their trip, but the Archduke thunders back something like, "Are you crazy? You'd have us visit museums while bombs explode on your streets?"
Yeah.
And then, in a gesture of gallantry that you don't often see anymore, he proposes instead that they immediately visit the hospital where the wounded were taken after the attack. So they don't hide him in a bunker or spirit him out of the country with a small army of guards like we would do today. Instead, they all pile out to the motorcade and start off towards the hospital. But nobody remembers to tell Franz Ferdinand's driver, and I should mention that this is the Archduke's personal chauffeur. This fellow came along with the Archduke for the trip, but he's Austrian through and through. This guy does not know his way around Sarajevo. And so, as they're making their way through the city, the Archduke's driver makes a wrong turn onto Franz Josef Street, a street named for the Archduke's father. Meanwhile, our failed assassin, Gavrilo Princip, is sitting outside a deli, eating his consolation snack and starting to feel maybe a little better. And maybe this won't be his only chance, he thinks. Maybe someday he'll have another shot at greatness. I mean, it was a really bad day, but who knows, it could still turn out okay. He'd have to go into hiding for a while, but he... Holy is that the Archduke? Yes, right there in front of him, in the same open-topped car, was the Archduke and his wife. The driver had taken a random wrong turn onto the street where Gavrilo Princip was having a sandwich, and their car had just stalled out trying to back up. 3 strides away. Gavrilo can hear the Archduke and his wife talking from the car. No words, just actions. He stands up, he pulls out his pistol, and he fires 2 shots that change the world. The Archduke looks over, barely noticing the gendarmes wrestling the young man by the car to the ground. His only sight is for his wife, lying quietly on the floor of the car. He reaches out with a hand weak and heavy. Something's wrong with his neck, he can't quite think straight. He sees her and he utters one last wish. "Sophie, Sophie, don't die. Live for our children." A man leans over him and asks if he's badly hurt, and he thinks he says, "It's nothing. It's nothing." He repeats the phrase, each time a little more quietly, and neither of them live through the hour. And so, our first act is done. A martyred prince and princess, or the death of oppressors. An act of terror or a heroic strike for freedom. An act that relied on 1,000 coincidences. On a poorly chosen date, on a change of plans, on a misinformed driver, and on a sad young man having a sandwich. But no matter how you look at it, it was an act that began the greatest war in history, and brought to an end the world that all of these actors knew. This war would change the world. Join us next time and find out how the world responds to this event.
Okay, that felt like it lasted about 3 minutes, my goodness. Wow. Man. Yeah, that last little bit, how the world responded to it, I was kind of like just thinking that right as when he said that, I was like, well, how does this spark an entire like world war? But I think it like just kind of boomerangs. A country aligned with Austria takes revenge on Serbia, and then I think that's what happens, and then it just kind of like kicks off conflict with all of these alliances that these countries have with each other. I think that's how it happened, but the only reason I say that is because I have seen oversimplified World War I videos before, like, but months and months ago, maybe like a year ago or something. It's been a long time since I've seen them, and I don't remember all of the details of it. I do remember that they did say that he took a wrong turn or something, and that's what led to his assassination, which is crazy to think about. So it's good to hear the full story and the details of it here. That is absolutely nuts. All of the odds of all of the cafes that assassin could have gone to, and all of the streets that he could have turned down. You know, it almost, sometimes you think it's almost like divine intervention that this happens, right? You know? Or you know what I'm talking about. You know, it's just like, something is orchestrating all of this stuff to happen this way, because it's almost like too probable to be coincidence. Or not probable, but it's too, I mean, just perfect to be coincidence, you know? Anyway, that, and then I didn't know his wife died either. I didn't know his wife was with him, actually. So that's kind of sad and tragic that both of them died. Yeah, that is also crazy that they just got like back in the car and decided to drive more after there had been an assassination attempt on him. like obviously today, that thing would have been shut down immediately, and he would have been taken out of the country, like they said in this video. So I mean, obviously back then they didn't have, I guess, the same safety protocols. They didn't really think through it in that sense. I don't know. I mean, common sense would tell you to not get back in the car and, you know, drive around in the public streets anymore after that. So I don't know what was going on with that decision. It would be interesting to know if there were like more historical papers about like why they made that decision, what was the thinking behind that, you know, because again, like it just goes against all common sense. But anyway, yeah, this is like a really quick video, I feel like, today, but also really good stuff. Again, like I just really like how this channel presents the information. They do a lot of like detailed, I know it's not super detailed, like it's a very quick overview of things, but it's also detailed enough, and they like personalize it with stories too to make it more memorable, I feel like. So I really like that style and the way that they do it. I actually like this better than Oversimplified, to be honest. You know, Oversimplified's pretty good, but it sometimes the juvenile humor in it just kind of is like, okay, it's a little much, but I know it was made for kids and that's why they do it, which is fine, but I really like this style, I think, a little bit better than Oversimplified's. So anyway, good video. We're doing part 3 tomorrow, and then part 4, let's see, tomorrow is gonna be Friday for you guys. I'm filming this on Wednesday, but it will be Friday for part 3. Part 4 will be on Saturday then, I guess. And then I guess it'll be Sunday when I post the first Great War video. And then I'll probably do the second one on Wednesday, just to, like I said, I want to do it, release these on Wednesdays each week, so. Alright, that'll do it. Also, a lot of people have told me there's a prelude to the Great War series. They do like three prelude videos, so I might try to fit those in too. There's gonna be a lot of World War I content over the next few days, I feel like. So, alright, that'll do it for this one. We'll see you guys tomorrow, and make sure to check my links to my social media, Discord, Patreon in the pinned comment below in the description of this video, and also make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done that yet. I appreciate it. Roger here, and I thank you guys for watching as always, and we'll see you next time.